Hello and welcome to today's video. This time we're taking a look through another 10 outstanding TV tie-in paperbacks. So sit back, relax, and let's take a look. Okay, so the first series we're starting off with is Danger Man, also known as Secret Agent in the States. And this was the Patrick McGoohan series. And there's a few tie-ins to this one. Now, this was the very first one, which on the face of it doesn't really look like a Danger Man book, but it does say Danger Man John Drake down in the bottom corner there. And this one, published by Dell, was back in 1962. Look at that, February 1962. So quite early in the series' life. Now, they did have a few more released in America by McFadden, and these are much better. They're much more recognisable. They've got McGoohan on the front, a little still from the episode there in that particular case. And these date from around sort of 1965, 66, I believe. Yeah, 1966. So yeah, they're perhaps the best looking of them all. And there is also a British versions of some of these as well. This is an odd one that I've got. It's funny, I need one or two to finish the American set. I think I need 3 to finish the British ones, but they just don't turn up in nice condition. They're published by Console, and they do seem quite harder to find even in the UK. So bear that in mind. Now, an unofficial sequel to Secret Agent was The Prisoner, also starring McGoohan, and there was 3 Prisoner paperbacks, and they were published in the States long before we had British editions. And there's the 3 that came out, and they are pretty scarce, these, published by Ace Books. And see what the date is on these. I actually only got mine fairly recently, this year in fact, and I've been looking for them for a long time. 1969. So yeah, quite scarce those. If you ever come across these original American printings, definitely pick them up. I have seen them go for, well, really stupid money, sort of 40, 50 pounds each. Definitely cheaper to buy them from the States if you can find them in sort of nice condition. Now, the next series we're looking at is Blake 7, so a quintessentially British series, and it was the series that was created by Terry Nation after he finished up on Survivors. And I'm a real fan of Blake 7. There's only 4 seasons of it. I wish it had gone on a little bit longer. And I loved it. I loved it at the time, and I still enjoy rewatching it today. And there were several tie-in novels. Here's a few that I've pulled together here. So we got, they did by Trevor Hoyle, so Blake 7, and then Project Avalon. And we got this one here, which is Scorpio Attack. Another cool one. Then we got this one, which was written by Avon, the actor who played Avon, which is Paul Darrow. This one is an American one, and I've had it for ages, and really heavily foxed on the inside. This one was 1991. So that was written by Paul Darrow. I've never read that one, but I hear it's really good. And also worth tracking down is this one, which is the Blake 7 program guide. This is written by Tony Atwood, and it's published as a Target book. So if you're a Doctor Who fan and you like your Doctor Who Target books, this is quite a nice little addition to that little range. And it's oh, look at that. Wow. Let's hope yours isn't as bad as mine. As you can see, there's an absolutely mint copy. They were remaindered. So I think I bought this one at a Doctor Who convention, and the dealer had a big pile of them. But maybe that's why, maybe because the pictures had stuck together, but they're okay. There we are. So Blake 7, well, a great British series, and one of the, if you've never seen it, I highly recommend it. As I said, there's only 52, I believe, in the set, so it's well worth watching. Now on to an American show, another one that I absolutely love, and that is Mission Impossible. Now, they had a series of books, and see, that's actually a season 1 shot. It's got the original. It was before Robert Graves joined there, and they are numbered. So it's number 1, number 2 there, codename Judas, number 3, Rapier, and then number 4, codename Little Ivan. And they're good. You know, they're of their time. I think that's perhaps the best. That's the best still on the front there. That's really nice. Very much like that one. Popular Library did these. And also, almost as like a little spin-off, there was 2 Whitman TV books. These are the Whitman yeah, well, they're just called like the TV hardbacks, and I quite like these. They're for slightly younger readers than perhaps the main paperbacks, sort of teenagers up. But there's a couple for you to collect. There's that one there, and then there's that one there. Great series, Mission Impossible, and you could sort of say the BBC series Hustle was the closest we got in modern times to Mission Impossible. I absolutely love it, and they're quite fun to collect. And of course, you could also, there is also the movie adaptation of the very first one, so you could add that on as well to the first film. So next we've got another quintessentially British series again. It's Tenko. So Tenko was the story of female prisoners of war who were sort of swept up when the Japanese overtook Singapore in the Second World War. So it's an historical drama, something that I really much enjoy. And yet 1981, this one was reprinted a couple of times. You used to see these books everywhere, and now they've become quite scarce. So these are my original ones from some sort of back in the day. So you've got Tenko, and then sort of Last Tenko, which I believe leads up to the camp actually getting liberated. And then Tenko Reunion was the other tie-in, which is where they come back a little bit of time after the war and sort of meet up and see how their fellow inmates have been adjusting to life back in Britain in a lot of cases. Then you've got the other side of Tenko, which is actually, I keep this one with my Tenko books, but this came out around the same sort of time. And this is looking at the British concentration camps near Singapore. So yeah, Tenko, good series. 3 seasons, tell the entire story from start to finish. And once again, if you've never seen it, I do recommend the story of Tenko. Next, we've got the Twilight Zone. So there's been lots and lots of Twilight Zone paperbacks, and I've got like a little selection here for us to have a look at. And they are, stories with a twist. So in a lot of cases, you'll find they're anthologies. And they've got a few stories in which were adapted for the show, So sometimes they list the authors, I believe, other times not. So, but look at this. Look at the reprint history. Published in April 1960. Look at all the reprints. 12 reprints between 1960 and 1964. It just gives you an idea of how popular the programme must have been. That's the first print in there from 1967. I've got a couple more here. I really like these little Twilight Zone anthologies. They remind me a bit of the Alfred Hitchcock Presents anthologies, which were very, very similar as well. That one's got a bit of a Planet of the Apes vibe on it. And these are all American editions. That one's got an import sticker on, a 3 and 6, but they were actually American printings of these. So that's pretty cool, and I can hardly recommend this, which is Into the Twilight Zone. The Rod Serling program guide, Jean-Marc and Randy Lofser, who did the Doctor Who program guides, published by Virgin, and this is a guide to all the different Rod Serling productions, not least of which the Twilight Zone. So it's like a little handy episode guide. And of course, the great thing with the Twilight Zone is that they were filmed on actual film, so the prints are outstanding. Even today, they've really held up very, very well. Next, another British series, a bit like along the lines of Tenko really, which was this one, which was Secret Army. And Secret Army was the series that came about after the BBC adapted Colditz. It's got a lot of the same sort of crew in. It's even got some of the same cast reappear in Secret Army, not least of which Bernard Hepton. It was the series that Allo Allo the comedy was based on, in actual fact, was Secret Army. And this is pretty much the adaptation of what season 1 of the show was based on. It's got Jan Francis there, yes, as Yvette. And it's all about the Belgian resistance and getting prisoners back to safety. This one here's the end of the line. It's got that great still of Kessler, the character was called. He was the sadistic Nazi German. Very, very good. I don't think there's a Kessler tie-in, but there was a Kessler 6-part series. Here's another one which does tie into it, which is the Secret Army Dossier. Quite a tatty old copy of this one, but it is indeed an actual tie-in. And it says, Clifford Rose, that was the chap who played Kessler. couldn't remember his name. So that's the 3 Secret Army books that I've got. And once again, a great show if you've never seen it. Now we've got, well, last time we covered The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Now we've got The Girl from U.N.C.L.E. Old Stephanie Powers there and Noel Harrison. Now, that's book 1. Now, for some reason, I've got 2 copies of book number 2, and I really don't know why. That one is a reprint from June 67. I wonder if this is... Oh, so it's just the first edition and the reprint, so no real change in any particular reason there. Number 3, The Golden Boats of Taradata Affair. Then number 4 was this one, which is the Cornish Pixie Affair, which I believe was only ever published in the UK. So this one here, if you ever come across it, it's quite a collectible in the States. So keep an eye out for this one, as it's a UK exclusive. And here's the my copy of American copy of The Girl from U.N.C.L.E. Book 1. Bit of a tatty old one with a few rips on the front, but it's one that I did find locally in the UK, even though it's a bit beaten up. And I mean, it's not... I don't mind The Girl from U.N.C.L.E., but you hardly ever see it. And, you know, I still prefer The Man from U.N.C.L.E., of course, but Girl from U.N.C.L.E. was a nice little spin-off. Now, a series which is great and amazingly still seems to be going in some form or another, and that is Red Dwarf. Now, I have a few Red Dwarf books, but I've also got some in hardback, so I haven't pulled the hardbacks out. I might do my hardback TV tie-ins another day, because I've got a few of them now, but I pulled out my Red Dwarf related paperbacks. So this is got Red Dwarf and Better Than Life, which I believe are the first 2 books, and these are pretty much almost word for word the scripts to the first couple of seasons, and they are really great. So I highly recommend these. If you're a fan of Red Dwarf and that style of comedy, I don't think you're going to go too far wrong. These are all published by Penguin. So that's the first one. We've then got this, which is the Red Dwarf quiz book, of all things. And it's funny, when you think about it, you don't realise just how big Red Dwarf was, particularly sort of in the mid to late 1990s. It was pretty darn big. So much so they even released a couple of script books. So this is Primordial Soup and Son of Soup. I think this is some of the best of the scripts. A few photos inside as well. And another spin-off on the back of it, so the same sort of style with these, which was a couple by Robert Llewellyn. So this one here, Thin He Was and Filthy Haired, was Robert Llewellyn's early life, which I believe got published originally before he even joined Red Dwarf, when he was an actor, in fact. But yeah, pre-Red Dwarf, but done in the same style as the Red Dwarf books. And then we got this one, which was The Man in the Rubber Mask. This is his story of being Crichton in the show. And that one's signed. Did a little signing with him in the 90s. I think it was pretty sure it was the 90s. Let's have a look at the date on this. It was, 1994. So, yeah, good stuff. I like Red Dwarf, and it's got a very long life because... well, I think it's timeless. The comedy is still really great, and the effects don't try and be anything other than what they are, which is a bit naff in all honesty, but that's part of their charm. So Red Dwarf, yeah, a few books to collect, a few hardbacks to collect. Yeah, I think I'll do a bit more on Red Dwarf on the channel quite soon. So the next series we've got is The Fall and Rise of Reginald Perrin. Now, this is perhaps the most obscure TV tie-in on the list. This is, well, Reggie Perrin is what we always used to call it, and that's that Leonard roster on the front there. And an absolutely hilarious series of 3 books, and each book is basically the episodes, almost word for word once again, that you see on TV. And Reggie sort of fakes his own suicide and then comes back, runs his own company. It's fantastic, really. He's just sort of bored of domestic life and looking to spice it up a bit. David Nobbs was the author. Absolutely superb. So this was the tie-in to the first season. Then we had the return of Reginald Perrin, which I believe was the second one for the second season. It's a really nice classic cover there. And then we got the third hilarious. In fact, it does say the third hilarious series, which is perhaps the weakest of all. He sort of runs like a health club. The second season, I think, is perhaps the best. I absolutely love it, though. I mean, they're really Really great. And you don't often see these on TV. I can't remember the last time I actually saw them repeated. I don't believe they're able to be viewed on BritBox, so you might have a bit of a job trying to track down watching Reggie Perrin if you don't already own them on sort of DVD, which they did get released on. So, but if you can find it, great series, and one I recommend. Then the last series for the 10 that we're looking at today is a Quinn Martin production. It is The Invaders. There we are. Absolutely loved The Invaders. It was last shown in the UK, I think, mid to late 80s on BBC Two, and they showed the whole lot, including season 2, where it sort of gets abruptly cut off. And there we are, Roy Thinner's a Quinn Martin production. Do you remember those? Now I've got a bit of a mixture, so that's actually an American pyramid printing. All the rest of mine are the British ones, so we got, which are by Corgi. And let's have a little look when this American one was out. August 67, and this Corgi one here was 1968. So yeah, I mean, I think all the editions are really nice. Autumn Accelerator. There's not a lot of stills from The Invaders, so you tend to get the same pictures on a lot of the merchandise again and again. Night of the Trilobites and Halo Highway. And although my copies aren't bad, they are quite tricky to find these days in nice condition. They really are. It took me a while to track them all down. Now there was a couple of like Invaders spin-off books, as it were. One of them, so I'll leave those there, was another Whitman TV hardback here. There we are, and that's a Dam of Death. And quite nice. Some of these have got illustrations in. Yeah, this one's got a few in. Sometimes they don't have at all, but these little TV hardbacks are really great. And if I lived in America and the shipping wasn't so cost prohibitive, I would be collecting these for all the TV series because they're such fun. Now, I did actually find, I got this one here. Now, this is a Dutch copy. Once again, very similar format, bit of the same with the cover, but it's like a Dutch copy of Dam of Death. So just a little variation there. And they did also bring out, once again, it's Whitman. It's a Big Little book, and they re-released. This is the series that ran in the late 1960s. There's like a Man from U.N.C.L.E. one, for example. There's a Flipper one. There's a few. Lassie. There's a Fantastic Four one, but it's just a short run of about 20. And they did one for The Invaders, which is what we see here. Picture on every page. I think they're fantastic. It's a really nice item, this. Not expensive. You can generally pick these up for about a tenner each. So I think really good. And The Invaders, as it's a series, still stands up very well today. And yeah, one that I really enjoy. So there you go. 10 more, I think, really interesting or outstanding TV tie-in series that you might want to collect. If you've enjoyed this series, do please give it the thumbs up. Do please hit the subscribe button if you've not already for regular vintage paperback content, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.